Just a week into the marriage, my husband hit me with divorce papers. I could say it was the fastest on record. How should I put an end to this marriage life? In front of the divorce papers, the conclusion I came up with was, my name is Jessica, 28 years old. My husband, Michael, is 4 years older than me. We were coworkers at the same work. Michael is well-educated, handsome, and highly competent at his job. His reputation among our colleagues is excellent, especially amongst the female staffs. He was considered a catch. Michael is so charming today as usual. Absolutely. Even when I make a mistake at work, he never gets angry but gently corrects me. Why is he so kind? The woman who marries such a man must be equally wonderful. His popularity echoed throughout the office, and at first, I was one of those women. I'm not especially beautiful, nor am I the type to take the initiative with men. On the contrary, I'm a shy person who follows my boss's instructions without any objections. So when he, who is far and away the most popular guy, asked me out, I was taken aback. Why me, when so many other women in the office were after him? I felt mysterious, but of course, there was no reason to refuse. After a year of dating, he proposed to me at a lovely restaurant with a beautiful city view. It was the moment my mundane life dramatically changed. A few days later, I was introduced to his mother, and I realized tearfully, I'm really going to marry this man. My first impression of my mother-in-law was a friendly and kind woman. She smiled warmly at me being nervous and started a conversation. Nice to meet you. You must be Jessica. Yes. Nice to meet you. I always appreciate Michael's help. Haha, don't be so nervous. I'm sorry. It's my first time in such a situation. My son's wife is such a cute lady. I'm also happy. Michael, you found a good woman. To my mother-in-law's words, my husband happily replied, Right? I felt so blessed to become a part of this wonderful family. I genuinely thought so. As the wedding discussions progressed and the date of getting married was set, my husband confessed something to me. Jessica, I've been meaning to tell you that my mom is actually frail. What? Really? She seemed fine when we met before. I guess she was just trying to show her best in front of you. Normally, she barely leaves the house. I see. Did we push her too hard? No, she's fine. But there's something I'm a bit worried about. When I asked my concerned husband, what is it, he seriously asked me, Jessica, I beg you, please live with me at my parents' house. What? Why all of a sudden? I can't leave my frail mother alone. I know it might be a burden, but I can't stand to leave my mom living alone anymore. Michael. Looking at him begging sincerely, I felt torn. At the same time, I was happy seeing him loving and honoring his mother. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't anxious. But surely I can get along well with that wonderful mother. I willingly agreed, saying okay, and decided to accept living together. Subsequently, after a discussion with my husband, I chose to resign from my job because of our marriage. At home, I'll take care of all household chores and look after my mother-in-law. I had initially planned to continue working after marriage, so I was a bit confused at first, but I saw this as a good opportunity. I will do my best to get along with my mother-in-law as soon as possible. After registering our marriage, we moved our belongings to my mother-in-law's home in Nebraska for over a week. The very first day our life with my mother-in-law began. My husband suddenly pulled out a divorce paper in front of me. Fill these out, please. Huh? You can see what it is, right? Divorce papers. Hold on, we just got married a week ago. What are these divorce papers for? Why? Isn't it obvious? It's so I can divorce you anytime. So if I get tired of you, we can part ways immediately. What are you talking about? I was unable to comprehend the meaning of his words and was utterly confused. The man in front of me had a cold look on his face, one I'd never seen before. In my speechless state, he continued, Listen to me now. Now that we're married, you absolutely obey what I say. If you defy me even once, it's instant divorce. Got it? That's just not right. Keep your mouth shut. I, the top man in the office, married a mediocre woman like you. Stop fussing and just listen to what I say. In the end, coerced by my husband, I ended up signing the divorce papers. Watching the scene, my mother-in-law was smugly laughing. I couldn't quite understand the situation I was in. I love Michael, and I was overjoyed to tears when he proposed to me. But to think he was actually like this? He must have deliberately chosen me from among the many female employees because I seemed meek and wouldn't resist. He chose his marriage partner to make her his puppet. Did I really make the right decision in marrying him? Before I knew it, a crazy marital life had started. As a housewife, my daytime life became one-on-one with my mother-in-law. And to me, my mother-in-law nagged almost every day. What is this? Is this supposed to be my lunch? It's ginger pork and potato salad. I hate ginger, and I only eat macaroni salad. Go make it again. I'm sorry, you previously said you didn't have any specific likes or dislikes. Don't make excuses. Oh my, I wonder why Michael married such a useless woman. She complained about the meals I cooked at every opportunity, and my husband would come home and join my mother-in-law in berating me if dinner wasn't ready. Hey, why isn't my dinner ready when I come home? I'm sorry, I was just cleaning the room as told by mother-in-law. Huh? What's with that tone? It sounds like you're blaming my mom. I didn't mean that. I was about to start preparing dinner, but then your mother asked me to clean. That's just because you're inefficient. Don't bother my mom. How much more trouble do you intend to cause for me and my mom? My husband would then demand, apologize to me and my mom, and required me to kneel down on the ground and apologize. Out of fear of my husband, I fell to my knees trembling. I'm sorry. Just do it right on the first time, you dunce. But the belittling didn't stop there. If I dared to take a break from house chores, my mother-in-law would splash me with cold water. It's cold! Mother-in-law, why would you do such a thing? No good daughter-in-law like you doesn't deserve a break. You stupid woman, get back to work. I'm doing my best. I cleaned the hallway just like you asked me to. Shut up! Stop making excuses. Make sure to dry the wet spots properly, you hear me? Yes, I understand. As these days went on, my self-esteem steadily declined. Was it because I was such a failure as a wife that she would splash water on me and shout at me every day? Was it because I was such a terrible person that I deserved this? This would probably be called brainwashing. I was so manipulated by my husband and mother-in-law that I didn't even realize my own twisted thinking. I was desperately doing house chores to earn their approval. They didn't care and kept nitpicking at me. Look, there's dust accumulating here. Stop slacking off and get back to work. Even though my husband initially told me that my mother-in-law was physically weak, there was no such sign. She seemed to enjoy bullying me every day. In retrospect, living together with my mother-in-law was probably a lie my husband made up to make me a convenient housemaid. Back then, I didn't realize it and thought it was just normal to live together like this. Then one day, my mother-in-law and husband said they were going out together and I was to drive them. I could finally have some time for myself. As I was thinking this, Mrs. Miller, a friend of my mother-in-law who lives nearby, came by. As soon as she saw me, she asked in a serious tone, Hey Jessica, are you okay? Huh? What do you mean? I saw Michael and Martha yelling at you when you were getting in the car earlier. I heard Martha's loud voice when I passed by your house before. I've been worried about you. It seems she had noticed that I was being belittled. That's why she came to talk to me while my husband and mother-in-law were away. Jessica, are you okay with this? I'm really worried about you. You've been looking more and more worn out since you got married. That's because I'm a failure as a wife. What are you talking about? I've thought this since the first time we talked, but you're not a failure at all. I'm sure you're trying your hardest. You can't get used to being bullied. Saying this, she seemed to tear up for some reason. I was moved to tears as well, and before I knew it, I had told her everything. After listening to my story, Mrs. Miller said to me with a serious expression, You need to run away. What? Just run away. But, are you okay with this? You won't regret it? I was confused, and Mrs. Miller grabbed my arm firmly. I, too, was bullied by my mother-in-law right after I got married. It was really hard, so I understand how you feel. You're wasting your life by putting up with it. You're a wonderful person. You deserve to be happier. Mrs. Miller. That's when I decided to divorce my husband. I suddenly felt a lightness in my heart, realizing that I had been brainwashed all this time. I don't want to live with him any longer. This isn't the married life I wanted. Before I knew it, tears were overflowing and I was crying out loud. All the while, Mrs. Miller had been gently stroking my back. Once I had calmed down, she said to me, "It's never too late to start over your life." Yes, thank you, Mrs. Miller. Soon after, I quickly packed up my belongings and left the house without telling my husband or my mother-in-law. Of course I took the divorce papers that they had made me sign at that time. A few hours later, my husband must have noticed my absence because he kept calling me. I stayed in a comic book cafe that night and answered the phone from my husband once I had calmed down the next day. Hello? When I answered the phone, "Hey, don't mess with me!" I heard him yell immediately. "I'm not messing around. What do you want?" "Don't play dumb. Why aren't you answering the phone? And why aren't you home?" "Well, because I left, you know." "Huh? You left?" He must think I don't have the courage to do such a thing. My husband continued, laughing it off. "What are you saying? Are you trying to get me to worry about you by running away from home? Stop doing stupid things like that." "I'm not trying to get you to worry about me. I left on my own decision. Is there a problem?" "You're gonna talk back like that. Just come home and do the housework. That's all you're good for, you stupid wife." Useless, stupid wife. How many times have I been subjected to such verbal abuse? I used to be heartbroken by such words, but I'm no longer afraid of them. My husband yelled at me as I stayed silent. "Get back here right now!" I retorted without missing a beat. "I'm not coming back. We're divorced, remember? So why should I have to come back?" "Huh? Divorced?" My husband was momentarily lost for words. He must have had the call on speaker because I heard my mother-in-law's voice say, "What?" from the other end. "Did you not hear me? We're not a couple anymore, so I have no reason to go back there." What are you talking about? I never agreed to a divorce." "But you did agree, didn't you? You made me sign the divorce papers." Did you actually use those divorce papers?" "Yes, I did. When I left, I submitted the papers to the city hall." I could hear my husband running to check the room over the phone. It's gone. Mom, the divorce papers are really gone." "What? So she really filed for divorce?" "Damn it, why did this happen?" "What are you doing, you idiot son? It's pointless now." I'm sorry, Mom." After listening to their absurd conversation, I replied sarcastically, "I'm grateful that you had them ready for me to file at any time. Thanks a lot." Hold up. I didn't really want to divorce you." "Excuse me? What are you talking about now?" "I'm sorry for how I've behaved so far. Without you, Jessica, we're in trouble. Neither I nor my mom can handle the housework." As soon as he realized the divorce was final, my ex-husband changed his attitude and started apologizing profusely. I felt nauseous dealing with this man's endless selfishness. "Please, I'm begging you, come back." "Don't be ridiculous. There's no way I'm going back to you." "Why not? We loved each other, didn't we?" "Loved each other? You've got to be kidding. You and your mom brainwashed me. I'm the one saying no to you. Get it? Don't contact me again, you mama's boy." I abruptly ended the call and blocked my ex-husband and mother-in-law's numbers. That's how I cut off all ties with them. Later, I received a call from Mrs. Miller and heard about my ex-husband and mother-in-law's recent situation. Apparently, my mother-in-law's harassment has become the talk of the town, and her reputation plummeted since I left. She, who already had few friends, was now utterly alone. Everybody in town points fingers at her, even when just taking a walk outside, to the point where she hardly leaves her house anymore. Meanwhile, my ex-husband seems to be showing up at work every day in wrinkled shirts. Initially, others were concerned about him, but once I explained the situation to my ex-colleagues, his image dropped dramatically. He's now being looked down upon by those around him and has started to frequently miss work. I'm sure it's only a matter of time before he quits. This is the end of a man who used to be so popular with the female staff. I can't stop laughing. In the meantime, I found a job at a company through Mrs. Miller's connections. There's a lot to learn, but I'm enjoying my work at my new company. I can't thank her enough. Jessica, I found a really good cake shop. Do you want to go sometime? Really? I'd love to. I continue to keep in touch with Mrs. Miller. I will definitely repay her for helping me out of my darkest times. With that in mind, I'm feeling grateful every day.